Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
We've managed to get to almost 20 past 11 without an EU referendum speech. That's about to change. The Prime Minister.
Or on the building survey? Of course not. Why would you say it about one of the most important and complex decisions that this country will have to take in our lifetime? On the value of our currency, they say the pound will go where it will. And because they don't have any credible experts on their side, what are they reduced to? Telling complete untruths to the British people. Now, in the space of the past few days, here are 6 of them. 1, they said we are liable to bail out Eurozone countries. Not true. My renegotiation means we are categorically not liable for Eurozone bailouts. It is there in black and white in the legally binding and irreversible negotiation deal. 2, they said that our rebate, the money that we get back from the EU, is at risk. Again, not true. The British Prime Minister has a veto on changes to our rebate. Only a British Prime Minister could decide to give it up. 3, they said we've given up our ability to veto EU treaties. Again, not true. There's absolutely nothing in the renegotiation that gives up our veto as a full member of the European Union. 4, they said we had no ability to stop overall EU spending from going up. Again, not true. The budget for the current period, 2014 to 2020, is set in stone and can only be changed with the consent of all countries, including the British Prime Minister. Again, it's wrong to claim anything different. And by the way, the spending for this period is lower than in the last period because I negotiated a cut in the EU budget. 5, they said we were powerless to stop Britain being forced into an EU army. Again, not true. We have a rock-solid veto on EU foreign and defence policy initiatives. Even if it was proposed, we would veto it, just like William Hague did when he vetoed the idea of a European headquarters on defence policy. 6, they said we'd save £8 billion if we left the EU. Again, not true. Almost every credible economic organisation who's looked at this has said that the economic shock of leaving Europe would cause a black hole in the public finances, and this would wipe out any saving that might be made. This black hole is estimated at between 20 and 40 billion pounds. That is the scale of the damage that leaving would do to our ability to fund the NHS, our schools or our defences. Indeed, in an unprecedented intervention yesterday, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, one of the most respected independent think tanks in our country, directly took on this falsehood from the Leave campaign. They said, and I quote, leaving Europe would mean spending less on public services, or taxing more, or borrowing more. So there you have it. Credible experts warning about risks to our economic security on the one side, and a series of assertions that turn out to be completely untrue on the other. A Leave campaign resorting to total untruths to con people into taking a leap in the dark. It is irresponsible, it is wrong, and it's time that the Leave campaign was called out on the nonsense that they are peddling. So as you make up your mind in this referendum, and you wonder, what does this all really mean for me? What does free trade and the single market and business investment and stability, what do these things mean? How relevant is it to my life? Let me tell you, it matters for your job. It matters for the prices that you pay in the supermarket each week. It matters for the mortgage you pay or your chances of getting on the housing ladder. It matters for your pension. It matters for the price of your family holiday. It matters for the money that we have available to spend on your local hospital or your local school. And it matters for your children and grandchildren, the kind of opportunities that they will have and the kind of country that they will grow up in. All of this depends on the strength of our economy. And I believe, along with this collection of independent experts, that our economy is stronger inside this organisation. So listen to the experts. Don't stand on the sidelines. This matters for you. There are no second chances, no reruns. So register to vote and vote Remain on the 23rd of June. Thank you. Happy to take some questions. I think, Gary Gibbon, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. On trade, can I ask you, the Vote Leave campaign say that tariffs these days in the developed world are pretty low, about 2 to 3%. In the worst case scenario, that's all Europe would inflict on us, less than what we give to Europe. And in the developing world, developing economies where they're much higher, that's where we need the deals, and Europe's failed to negotiate them.
Well, I'd answer that in two ways. First of all, if you look at the deals that Europe has negotiated, they cover 53 countries. Europe has been faster at signing trade deals than, for instance, the United States of America. And of course, part of Britain's role in Europe is to speed up the process of signing those deals. The Korean deal's been a great success. Now we want to go on with Japan and India and China. But I think your first question is the most significant. If we were to leave and not have a trade deal, but to go to the position, for instance, of the United States of America, we would pay 10% tariffs on our cars. Now, our car industry has been a massive success for our country this last decade, a 60% increase in jobs, 150,000 well-paid jobs in the industry, and another 300,000 supporting that industry. Now, if we went to a situation of paying tariffs on our cars, we would sell fewer. Our industry would be less successful. There would be less investment from companies into Britain to build our car industry. So it's simply not true to say that you can exit the single market and enjoy good access to it. You can't. If you take the case of Canada, which has a free trade deal with the European Union, still not yet completed after 7 years of negotiation, even they face some quotas and some tariffs on goods, and they have very restricted access for services. And I think this is such an important message in this whole debate and campaign. 80%, 4/5 of our economy is services. And that access for services is absolutely vital into the single market. We have it now, and we would lose it if we went to a situation outside the single market. And that is measured in a loss of jobs, in a loss of livelihoods, in a loss of wages for our people. That's why the single market and our access to the single market is so crucial in this debate. Let's have Chris Shipp.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Shipp, ITV News. Throughout this campaign, we've had lots of warnings, what you've consistently referred to as serious and sober warnings on the economy. None of them have warranted a press conference in response. Of course, you've got your big moment on ITV tonight, but it rather suggests that you have, after some early traction, you've sort of lost the momentum, and the momentum in this campaign is currently with Leave on things like immigration, on things like criminals, and on things like the EU budget.
Well, I'm looking forward to my appearance on ITV, another plug for you for tonight. Look, I was watching the news last night, and it just came over to me so clearly that there is such a contrast between the weight of independent expert opinion that wishes our country well, but is giving us an unvarnished view of the decision we could be taking. There's a massive contrast between that. Respected, independent experts warning us about lost jobs, about instability, about a smaller economy, about the effect on our country. The contrast between that and a series of assertions from the Leave campaign that just simply aren't right. We're not giving up our veto. We're not giving up our rebate. They can't increase the overall EU budget without our agreement. And it struck me that it's so important to say to people, don't take a decision to leave the EU and damage our economy on the basis of clearly false information that you're being given. That would be a very bad thing for us to do as a country. So I thought it was right to gather you here today and call out this campaign, because they are making a series of assertions, for whatever reason, that simply aren't factually correct. Now, you can argue with what has been said about growth, about jobs, about prices. But what's so clear is it's being said by so many.
David Cameron giving his daily reminder of why he believes we should vote to remain and entreating people to register to vote. The deadline is, of course, midnight tonight.